Waiting is hard. I've walked 2 of my 3 children through the college application process, and it turns out the second time is no easier than the first. You watch as they stress as they compile all their grades and their activities and their accomplishments, and then they have to write the dreaded essays. And they put it all together and they send it off. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is waiting. And why? Because anxiety builds when people start talking. They start comparing, they give a lot of post hoc advice about what you should have done and what you should have said. And the only way to get through that waiting is to rest in the promise that God is in control and He has a place for you. The Jews were in a much more desperate situation 2,000 years ago. They had been waiting for hundreds of years, waiting for the one who was promised to Eve, who would crush that snake's head, waiting for the one who was promised to Abraham, waiting for the one who would deliver them yet again from oppression and slavery. And finally, they were waiting for the one who was promised to King David, an heir who would keep God's commandment perfectly and be their king forever. On top of all the waiting, God had been silent for 400 years. He had sent no prophet to speak for him. So they had to claim the promises of the prophets from before, hundreds of years before. And God in His graciousness had described to them what that Messiah, that one, would look like. But in addition, God had described a messenger who would come and prepare them for the one, for the Messiah. And that way they would know who the Messiah really was. In their prophet Isaiah, it says, "Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you, the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord and make His path straight." In that day, servants would go before their masters on a journey, and they would literally remove the rocks and the debris from the path so that it would be smooth for the master and straight. So this messenger was going to come do that for the Messiah.